Oh, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
Bless you, Molly. Molly, are you going to be able to be cool during this?
She's the mascot. She can do whatever she wants.
Is she?
Hmm.
She says, I'm going to chase the cat. I'm going to silent bark at you. I'm going to just do everything to get in your way. Also, Marina does a dance, by the way, whenever he gets a treat.
What does he do?
He just like follows you around and does this little like mer dance.
Like
he
just
like
like shaking his butt and stuff.
like he like trots around like he prances.
Oh,
He does like a mer dance.
mama.
Wow. It's pretty cool. And then 5 minutes later he throws up. So it's been
Right, of
a great
course.
it's been a great day here. Okay. All right. All right. Are
Right.
you gonna settle down? Are you cool, man? Oh, good. Sniff the microphone. That sounds great. Mm-hmm. Sniff it some more. Sniff, sniff. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Weirdo.
Who? Me or her?
Both.
Oh. He's talking mean about you again. I don't know. Why does he hurt us so bad?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have a question.
What's up?
Am I allowed to ask a question?
What?
That was a throwback to what you just asked me. Okay. Um.
Oh, yeah.
anyway. So are you moving like that actual weekend? Are you like moving stuff back to Katie the weekend of the 27th?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I don't really have much time.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, because I get back the 26th, and then I have to be out by the 30th.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's perfect.
Hmm.
Perfect. I can be helpful
Yeah.
in more ways than one.
Hmm.
Mhm. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Cool. Just checking. All right. Well, then we will start. Let me get myself settled over here. Get the dingoes settled. Molly, you gotta go. You gotta do something. Pick a spot. Not looming over me. Looming over me is not a spot. She does not agree. She's just looking at me like, bitch, I do whatever I want.
Bitch, please.
Bitch, please. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll do this then.
Okie dokie.
Should I 3, 2 fun it?
Yes, please. Yes, please. That would be the best. 3, 2,
in three,
fun.
in 3, 2. I'm sorry. You know what that just made me think of? Have you ever seen Wayne's World where they're teaching them how to count down?
Oh, yeah. I can see that. Oh, wow.
oh, it's so good. I love that movie. All right. Anyway, 3, 2, fun. Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to Epic Rhythm and Brews. I'm one of your hosts, Lainey. Introduce yourself,
And
fool.
I'm the other host, Parker.
And together we're the leaders of your dummy parade.
Yes, we are.
So we're coming back at you after a little bit of a prolonged absence. Sorry, guys. Life, and sometimes stuff happens, and school, and
Life in school.
yeah, it just kind of is what it is. So, but we're back,
Yeah, we are.
and we're super stoked to record today. We're actually gonna start something new today, but before we get into that, let's ask America's favorite question. Andrew Parker, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a Shiner Bock. Just a regular old Shiner Bock. It's been a
Just a
while.
plain old Shiner Bock, like a good old boy from Texas.
Yeah,
Is that it? Is
for
that it?
sure.
Did I get it right? Did I do it right?
Spot on. Hmm.
Yes.
What
Score.
uh what are you drinking?
Well, I was gonna lie, but Parker talked me out of it. so I'm actually I made kind of a cocktail. I made a German cocktail called a Rattler, or however you say it. I don't know. But it's basically like a little lemonade and some fresh lemon juice with a beer poured kind of over it. Some people also put, excuse me, extra alcohol in there. I think that kind of defeats the purpose, but
Does it though?
well, the reason it's called a Rattler is it's like the German word for bike.
Right.
And so the purpose of it is like you drink it when you're trying to sober up.
Hmm. But
So I would think that putting more alcohol in it wouldn't really help. Knowing what I know about biology
uh-huh,
and how metabolism and stuff works, I don't think that that's really going to help very much
right. I mean,
as a seasoned drinker.
so what did you say the name of the drink was?
It's like a rattler, like an R. I think it's Ratler.
Huh.
Are you going to look it up right now?
Well, because you said it's German for bike.
Something like that. This is all stuff that I heard from the YouTube channel that I learned how to make this off of.
Oh, well, I know that bike in German is Fahrrad, so
Okay, well,
it's
fine.
definitely not that.
Well, all right.
So
No, it's Rattler. It's Radler. Maybe it doesn't mean that. Maybe it means like.
it doesn't mean bike. I know that much.
All right. Well, then you tell me. No, it means cyclist. Ha!
There you
Suck it.
go. That makes
There.
more sense.
Boom. There.
Perfect.
Cyclist. It means cyclist.
So you can get
So
home, but still be drinking, though. So
exactly.
that's everybody wants
Um,
to be.
but some people use like Sprite or 7 Up. I didn't. I just used straight up sparkling lemonade like a pretentious asshole.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, but that's what we're drinking tonight, and I guess we'll. Oh, hello. That was very loud. I don't know if you heard that. I heard that in my ears.
We did not.
Oh, good. That's good news. Um, so we'll go ahead and introduce our topic. So Parker and I had discussed the idea of possibly doing kind of some series on the show. You know, maybe not every episode, like every single episode back to back, but like
Hmm.
maybe start a series and kind of touch on it every now and then. And we decided that what we really want to start off with was a series about different decades because obviously every moment in time has a soundtrack, and that soundtrack is usually really indicative of where music was heading at the time and what current events were happening at the time. And, you know, so we figured we'd go pretty much as far back as Parker will let us. And that would be.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't like a lot of big band stuff,
I
50s and
know you
30s.
don't.
And then you have to skip about 100 years to get back to music that I'm comfortable with.
Exactly. There's a big gap in the stuff that Parker listens to. So we're going to start off with the 50s.
Yes.
Yes. So Parker's I think Parker might actually be leading this discussion. So, you know us guys, we're just more of a freewheeling convo than anything
Wait,
else.
I'm leading this?
I'm
What?
going to make you lead this.
Since when?
Just cuz sink or swim. Let's
Right.
do this.
Fantastic.
No, we both know I can't give up any control.
Nope.
Nope. So, but we'll just go ahead and dive on in. So, I mean, when you think of the 50s, Parker, what do you think of?
I think of the birth of rock and roll.
Obviously.
Um, that's just kind of the first thing that comes to mind, and then obviously, basically, I just think of Elvis Presley. I guess is probably if we're gonna get
I
down to
think
it.
it's interesting that that's where your mind first goes because that's not where my brain first goes.
Well, who do you think of?
Chuck Berry.
Oh, okay. Well, that's two sides of the same coin, right?
It is. It really is two sides of the exact same coin.
But yeah, speaking of which, we talked about Chuck Berry and his death a couple episodes ago, and
Yeah.
here we are, kind of going back to what
Going back and talking about him.
briefly touched on when that went down.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is called a callback.
It is called a callback.
So well done, us.
Um, but and then I also think of kind of the birth of one of the few, I guess, mainly very Americana things that came out. Because really, up to this point, we've just kind of brought in a lot of other stuff from other countries,
Mm-hmm.
especially music wise. We just kind of adopted, what all the immigrants were listening to when they came in.
Well, except jazz. Jazz is one of the few types of music that we can call purely American,
Absolutely.
which is super cool.
Which is the birth of this. And then, there's a bunch of semantics about what was actually jazz and all that stuff, which kind of, but this is definitely just kind of the extension of jazz. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, essentially, it just, yeah, it's kind of where it all came from. But this
Yeah,
is,
I mean the 50s. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but yeah, this is definitely where it came into front and center of American culture. Because before then, it was just jazz and all that stuff was mainly kind of hidden and wasn't in the forefront of everyone's mind like it was in the 50s when it just exploded.
Exactly. Agreed. Very much
Hmm.
agreed.
Good.
But no, I think one of the cool things too about the 50s is like it saw such a big turnover in the kind of music that was popular, because at the start, you know, you were still there's still a lot of that big band stuff, you know, the early part of the early half of the century, it was still a lot of um crooners with a big band playing in the background. You know, you had your Frank Sinatra and you had your Perry Como and your Rosemary Clooney and all this kind of good stuff. But it's kind of interesting if you watch the way that I personally think that the evolution of the crooners directly fed into a lot of like the big pop idols that were really, really big in the 50s. Because the 50s, I mean, huge time for rock and roll, but also a huge time for like the teen idol, because the teenager was kind of like king at that time. You know, they were looking for a very specific audience.
Yeah, this is the first time in American history where the teenager was even considered a
A
group of
thing.
person. Yeah.
It wasn't really a thing until the 50s.
Right. And people had more time to pursue other things other than you know
War,
whether or not they're going to eat the next day because you know the 30s were
because
pretty bad.
we're in the middle of a massive world war and everybody's rationing.
Yeah, and people don't really just have time to just pick up and play a guitar. So
No, everybody's chilling with their GI bills and like hanging out.
exactly. So I think that was definitely a huge uh, reason why this stuff picked up so quickly, and and then we can start getting into the radio, and recording was much easier, and being able to
Oh yeah.
broadcast the stuff to a national level, and people able to have money to actually buy these radios. So all these people with different backgrounds are able to listen to other types of music and start blending and kind of putting stuff together and coming up with these new genres that were never around before,
Right.
um, which is pretty cool to. And then you can even go later with the people in the 60s and 70s were able to grew up listening to these guys because they were able to listen to the
To
radio
the
and music.
radio. Well, and that's
Mhm.
just the thing. It's like radio wasn't just used as like a, you know, means for I don't know. It became you're right, because so many people could afford radios in their households and in their vehicles and everything. It became a much bigger thing. It became a huge phenomenon, and you had really cool DJs
Right.
who, you know, like Alan Freed in Ohio, who started playing R&B music like
Yeah,
for
right.
everybody.
Yeah, and so you start to spread, what they called black music to white people, and then these white people are like, "Oh, hey, this stuff's actually pretty good."
And then you even take somebody like Elvis Presley and put a white face on it,
Exactly. And
and then way more super conservative white, well, just white people in general, especially back then,
mhm.
you know, are more willing to listen to it. As I like to say, Elvis was the Eminem of his time.
Yeah, he was the Eminem of a time, and he even talks about it too. Well, he did talk about
Hmm.
it about,
Absolutely, he totally did talk about it.
and he a lot of times he just straight up said, "Yeah, it's like I took this music and just kind of shared it with other people, and because I was not black, people wanted to listen to it."
Hear
Which,
that, Macklemore? Do you hear how he did that? That's how you do that.
wow,
Sorry.
burn notice, watch out.
Burn notes.
Which,
But yeah,
which is pretty cool. But then you start getting your big players, your Chuck Berrys, your Les Paul, kind of
oh,
introducing
Les
and
Paul. Can we talk about Les Paul and the multi-track recording system and all that, and how that totally like helped revolutionize? Like, you guys don't understand. Like, even just like the production of some of this stuff is really like was huge for its time. If you have not checked out the docuseries Soundbreaking, you really, really should.
yes,
It's
absolutely.
incredible. They did a whole thing about multi-track recording, and it's so interesting. Like, oh, they get into, which we'll get into this in the next part of the series, but they get into so much of that, like of the wall of sound, which that's more Phil Spector. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really interesting to me the way that Les Paul basically convinced a lot of people that he was magic. Then
Well,
was like,
just
nope, this
yeah,
is just how I do this.
completely redefined what music, what people thought you could possibly do with music.
Mm-hmm.
Because before then, no one really knew you could get this, you know, depth of sound and all this stuff in one time, and it just kind of blew everyone's nips off because it's super super awesome.
Absolutely.
And not
Yeah, it
only
really
that, but
did.
also introducing people to what we know as the modern guitar that you could plug in and it would make, it wasn't just all acoustic and it was, I mean, we haven't really moved on much from his Les Paul that he made in, early mid 50s. So that accessibility to that, of course, enabled a lot of people to play that, quote, heavier sound with the electric guitar, which, we wouldn't have a lot of stuff with if it wasn't for that.
Just think of all the stuff that we wouldn't have without multi-track recording. I mean, damn.
Yeah, right. And how far recording quality has come since that is pretty amazing.
Absolutely. You know, one of my favorite things though from that time was because my aunt used to tell me about this, how she used to get up and watch the show every, like, I think it came on like Saturdays or something, and she so badly wanted to be on it. But like American Bandstand was like a huge thing, and that
Yeah,
had a lot of like, your that to me was kind of like, it was like when we had TRL, it was kind of the same thing, and it took a lot
exactly
of
what it was.
what TRL was in the late 90s and early 2000s. I think American Bandstand was in the 50s, because it took like
Right.
all of those like teen idols, like Bobby
Hmm.
Darin and Frankie Avalon and Paul Anka and,
Yeah.
Connie Francis and all of these people, and like put them on a center stage for the nation to see, and had like teenagers dancing to, it was just a whole thing. I think that that's so fascinating. Like it's very much like history repeating itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, even and spreading all of that to even more people, which is really, really cool. And just people, and I guess the whole like cool factor starts coming in where
Yeah.
it's like super hip and trendy to be in a rock and roll band or listen to rock and roll and not what the old fogies used to listen to. You know?
Yeah, like there's like a very specific turnover, because like the first part of the century, you've got the big band and the swing that was like super popular at the end of World War II, and then it, like, with the orchestras and everything, and then those crooners turn into these
The
pop
stuff.
artists. Well,
Yeah.
not even that's not even until the later part of the
Well, I guess
decade.
that's true. That's kind of an extension of that. But yeah.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
wasn't until way later in the decade. But yeah, like I think that that's really interesting the way that that kind of, because like Frank Sinatra is still a big deal, like
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Perry Como is still a big deal.
But then you get that distinction between people who listen to that older style music and then this new different type of music that is really really different from anything that was out there before.
Exactly. Well, and I think that that's kind of cool. My dad used to talk to me about that, about how when he was a kid, like he used to think that like his dad's like Frank Sinatra records and like all that big band stuff, like his Dean Martin stuff, was just so stupid and, was
Yeah.
just so old fashioned and like not cool. And
Hmm.
now that he's older, obviously, like as he became an adult, he got way more into it. But like, it was, I guess I didn't realize when I was a kid, like how that was all kind of pushed together in the same era.
Well, and because they come from distinctly different origins. I mean, that big band stuff honestly was just an extension and just an evolution of, orchestras. And
Exactly.
your blues and your R&B stuff was something from a very very different background. All that stuff came from Africa and settled in the South and in the Caribbean, and so it's a very very different style of music that evolved in a different way. So yeah, these two different genres clashing at one time, and so there's a very very large distinction between the two, and that's why I think it's hard for people to switch from one to the other because they weren't used to anything like that before, which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
And I like that rapid change and how quickly stuff developed between you think the early 50s and then you end up to 1959 1960. It's a huge growth and
Massive, massive difference.
absolutely.
Massive change in sound too of just like what's popular.
Yeah, and people experimenting and seeing what this new rock and roll could actually end up being. Because then there's a huge difference because you're basically going from spanning from the late 40s to early 60s. It's not even close to the same type of music,
Absolutely.
and that huge shift happened because of a couple really really big giants in the field.
And it was really like dominated too by like a lot of big names, but you still had like little bands coming in and out all the time.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, just like with anything else. And then what I especially like about this time period is really the growth of like subgenres.
oh man, there's a ton of subgenre. Like even like within like popular music, you've got like the one little like aspect where like R&B influenced a lot of that, and that's how you got a lot of like acts like the Coasters and the Platters and all that good stuff, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
And they were like little like novelty bands that became like massive successes and like huge acts at the
Yeah.
time.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
And from the different kind of realms that they took, like if you got the rock and roll that had a lot of influence of country music, and you
Hmm.
get that rockabilly stuff, which
Oh,
is
the rockabilly stuff.
yeah, and then you get the doo wop people, which are coming in from that same bluesy area, but they take it in a completely different direction. But yet it still has that same kind of seed of of origin. But I really like the whole subgenre thing of people taking an idea and running with it with their different influences. I really like that a lot.
Well, that's how doo-wop started.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that was just a subgenre
Hmm.
of of popular music, really. You know, which I think is kind of cool because you've got something that was kind of popularized. Well, no, I wouldn't say popularized. I'm trying to think of how to explain this. You've got something that kind of started as like, we're just regular popular music, but was developed like with a lot of like African American influences, like in a lot of the neighborhoods in big cities like New York and Philly and Chicago and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, and it's just all it is just vocal harmony, and it just comes from people singing in the street with their friends. Like that's all it is.
Yep.
So of course I love stuff like that.
Um,
That's more my jam than it is Parker's.
all right. But one of my favorites, I think, and really, really big, especially for the R&B crowd, was Little Richard.
Oh man.
And
Oh, little Richard.
what he started early, early in the 50s is just really awesome. And he killed it, and everyone loved him, and he changed the game so much in a really little, very small amount of time too. And
Lucky us, right?
he had that funkiness that I'm a very big fan of that James Brown then eventually took to its logical conclusion. And I love that funk. It's good stuff.
That's so funny to me that
What's
like
that?
that's your jam. I love that. I think that's just cool. But
Oh
yeah,
man,
but yeah, I mean, without it, people don't realize that without Little Richard, we wouldn't have James Brown, and where would we be without James Brown?
exactly. I mean, any kind
You
of
know,
music you hear now with any funk in it is you can owe all of that to Little Richard and him. You
looking
know,
at you, Bruno Mars.
yeah, exactly. Or anybody else really that has any kind of funk to it. And I think a lot of that funkiness is really, really good because it kind of brought drums into more of a forefront and kind of dominated a lot of that sound back in the day, which kind of lends itself to really that jazz
Hmm.
that I still like jazz. That earlier jazz, not stuff that got too crazy in the 70s, but
No, yeah, Jess got real weird.
pretty crazy.
Well, and then you had okay. I thought this was kind of funny because I hadn't made the connection, but like some of the trends too that like came out in the 50s were like the calypso trend of music. with like people like Harry Belafonte. And
I
that's so
was gonna
funny.
bring up calypso.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but
I
no,
beat
keep
you to
going.
the punch.
But it's
But
you'll see
like
why.
but it's just so funny to me because it reminded me, okay, do you remember when we were kids and they had like the Latin explosion and we had Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias and all that good stuff?
Oh yeah,
And like Menudo got popular in the United States again for once.
did it?
Yeah, for like a hot minute.
Oh,
But it kind of reminded me of that, where it's like, ooh, this is different. Like,
it is. Get a little Latin
and
flavor.
ooh, and like just as soon as it started, it just like left again.
Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, it's the same thing just over and over.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
It's folk songs. It's like Jamaican and Caribbean folk songs.
yeah,
But I just thought that was funny. But yeah, and then we got people like Harry Belafonte, who has one of the greatest names of all time.
yes, absolutely.
I love
Harry
that. So why
Belafonte.
were you gonna bring up calypso music?
Uh, because it was little did people know that it was the birth of ska music, and that really
I
makes me happy.
never thought about that. You're totally right.
Yeah, because ska is just taking calypso and bringing a little bit of rock to it, and then boom, you have that.
And making
The,
it a little faster.
yeah, a little bit. Well, that first wave of ska wasn't really fast. I mean, because there's like three big waves of ska, but that first one was pretty simple. But you could definitely the accentuated downbeat and the pickups and a lot of snare and stuff. But and I have a soft spot for ska music
Oh, I know you do.
because it's so crazy.
I
Um,
know you do.
we can talk
Nerd.
about the other side of all this, the
Oh,
birth of, I guess, what we would call modern country music,
I know, right?
the golden era of your Patsy Clines and Hank Williams and
God, thank God for the 50s.
yeah,
I mean, can you imagine a world with no Patsy Cline?
right.
I would be sad.
Marty Robbins, which
Oh
is
God.
one
Woody
of my
Guthrie. Well,
yes,
Woody Guthrie was even before that, but
true.
I
But yeah,
mean,
that's the that whole, I guess, the plains country music. I guess what we would call like
hmm
country, like Texas country. I don't even know if that's um, a lot of people are talking singing around in Lubbock and
oh
place,
yeah.
Texas and um, which is pretty cool. George Jones, people like that. You start bringing in that type of music that again was pretty localized of um, immigrants coming in and just playing, you know, their type of blues, I guess. And then you
hmm
get that acoustic guitar coming in with your R&B and blues, and then you get rockabilly stuff, which is pretty cool.
Well, the 50s gave us the Everly Brothers
Oh
too.
man, so good.
And really and truly, where would we be? Where would this world be without the Everly
The Everly
Brothers?
Brothers and that
I
harmony.
mean,
Oh,
yes. And just some incredible songwriting, like just classic. I love that. And they kind of spanned a lot of different stuff because, they had the country and like the rockabilly
yeah, and they kind of bounced
and
back
then
from both of those.
bridged it over to more of like a rock and roll fan base, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, which I like that kind of now more bands are basically kind of one genre mostly that they kind of focus on. But a lot of these
hmm
early guys were no one knew what these things were, so they were just trying out everything.
Everything, which, oh God, that's so like, can you imagine? Like, you're so lucky. Like, nothing, it doesn't really matter because, like, you're just going to try whatever and see if it works. Like, you just throwing shit at the wall till something sticks.
Yeah, exactly. And they
Love
would
that.
hear different kinds of music they've never heard before and like, "Hey, I want to make some songs that's got a little bit of this in it," or "I want to
And,
take
like, that's
this
so
really
hard to
old song and
find now.
remake it." Yeah.
That's so hard to find now because everything is just you know, somebody throwing up something that's already been done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, this stuff was just the birth of all that. And I think that's probably a really cool time to be around for a musician because all the stuff is so new and fresh and like I said, no there was no wrong answer. You just made whatever you want to make, you know.
Agreed. You know what? Can I mention this, by the way? One of my favorite things about rockabilly music is that there was obviously everybody's heard Rock Around the Clock, but Bill Haley's band name was Bill Haley and his Comets. And I just, the
Yes, his
genius,
comets, his,
genius.
hmm
I
not the
love that.
comets.
His Comets, his Comets. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I love wordplay.
Yeah, it's always fun.
And you got see lots of Johnny Cash, and he looks crazy young and kind of terrifying. Johnny Cash, by the way, like if you've never looked up pictures of young Johnny Cash, go do it, and like you're gonna be a little scared because
He was probably one of the coolest guys to hang out with
he
back in the
probably
day.
was one of the coolest guys to hang out with, but he looks like he would like bury you somewhere deep in the woods and no one would find you.
Yeah, because everyone's heard that playing at Folsom Prison, blah blah blah, wearing
Mhm.
black, oh funeral, whatever.
I love that.
But everyone just seems like, oh, he was just trying to put on this act. And it's like that's just who he
No, I think
was.
he was. Yeah, I think he was just like that. I think he was just kind of
Like he really was just that much of a badass that just didn't care
yeah.
and did his own thing. And
He was like whatever.
I love that.
I
It's
love that.
so much fun.
So funny.
Okay, so
No.
a lot more about the doo-woppy stuff.
Uh huh.
What who are the big people doing that, and what I don't know, just kind of regale us on some doo-woppy stuff.
Okay. Well, like if you're wondering what doo-wop music is,
Yeah, let's for the people in the back who don't know.
all right. So
What
listen up.
what do we got?
You've everybody's heard "In the Still of the Night." If you've seen Dirty Dancing, you've heard "In the Still of the Night." By the Five Satins. That's a classic doo-wop song.
Mhm.
Let's see, Shaboom. That's a classic doo-wop song. Trying to think. Oh, Book of Love. Everybody knows that song. That's
Yep.
classic doo-wop. So, basically, what doo-wop music is it is like I said, it is a genre of music that was developed by people living in poor suburb or not poor suburbs, but poor neighborhoods of big cities and standing on the corner with their friends and not drinking and singing. I'm
No, that's what
drinking.
we're doing.
I'm drinking, they're
Yes.
singing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just singing with their friends and coming up with it's kind of like a take on, I would say, like a barbershop quartet, kind of.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? You're using just your vocals.
Yes.
So, which is really cool. And it has such a tie to really like African American culture, just with like the spirituals and some gospel. Like it's incredible. So it kind of like during the 50s, and this is more like the late 50s. Like it didn't become popular until like
So yeah, that was a little later on, right?
yeah, like 56, 57 is when it kind of started to be a little bit more bigger of a thing. And it really blew up in like the early 60s.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So but yeah, it's like you've got like all of this stuff kind of starting to show up in like the mainstream or whatever, but it's really characterized by, it's all about vocal harmony, random syllables. I call it like scatting's like nerdy younger brother.
Yeah, just trying to fill the time between the next beat, basically.
Yeah, it's a simple beat.
Uh-huh.
There's very little to no instrumental and instrumentation, anything in it, and it's very simple music and lyrics.
Yeah, just enough to be a cohesive song and
Yeah,
not
so
just
like
people
Led
singing.
Zeppelin, not a doo-wop group because
No, for sure.
yeah, but because I mean, think about it. You're trying to like the special ingredient in doo-wop music isn't the lyrics, it's the sound. It's all about the sound. It's all about all this incredible stuff that you can do with your voice.
Mhm.
So that's a reason that I really love it. Being a big old choir nerd, I sang a lot of songs like this because we don't need any instruments. So which meant nobody had to hire a pianist to
Right.
accompany us.
No
So,
accompaniment.
yeah, which means way less money. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's if you don't listen to a lot of doo-wop music, at least go like take a little deep dive. It's totally worth it. What I love is like the late 40s and early 50s like brought out groups. Like they literally called them bird groups because you have like the
Yes,
swallows, the orioles, the penguins.
the Penguins.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing. The band names were so awesome. It was like
So hilarious.
the nouns,
Yeah.
just whatever the nouns. Like my favorite is the Platters and the Coasters. This
The platters and the coasters.
is
I
awesome.
love the coasters. Um but I love that. Doo-wop music too always makes me think of like the 90s like the 90s kids movies that we used to watch because it's all 50s music in there.
Oh yeah,
If you ever go back and listen, like go watch Sandlot and you'll hear it, which that is even like early 60s, but there's still a lot of that in there. So but yeah, it's kind of cool like um you've got like groups like the Five Satins who have like a lot of really famous like doo-wop hits and obviously the Coasters and all that kind of good stuff, but it's just really interesting. I think it's kind of cool like and it makes me a little sad that I feel like doo-wop has like now grown into like it's like remorphed itself into these acapella bands like freaking pentatonics now, but you know, whatever.
yeah.
Ugh.
Well, I think that kind of stuff will never really ever totally leave. Just having three or four people, or I guess in sync people up to five, just singing, and that's the whole point. With a little bit of a accompaniment in the back, but just
And in
having
sync,
these.
you couldn't even really call too doo-woppy because that was more like R&B style, like lots of
Oh no, no,
harmonies.
not like pure doo-wop, but that's kind of the what doo-wop
Genesis.
is
Genesis of
now.
well, and that was kind of the genesis of that boy bandy sound that we got in the 90s.
Absolutely, yeah,
Everybody had to have super tight harmonies,
yes,
you know, and be able to do a lot of acapella songs because that's how you got Ron Perlman to listen to you
yeah.
when you
You had
went
to,
down to Orlando and sang for Jive Records.
yeah, you
So,
had to have the pipes. If you didn't have the pipes, then you got nothing.
yeah, fun fact 98 Degrees probably had some of the best vocals of any boy band in the 90s, and y'all all slept on them,
Yep,
myself included.
easily the most talented of
Yeah,
the slew of boy bands,
yeah.
which is too bad because they wrapped it up in terrible
M-
lyrics and music.
And meatball packaging. Oh, look like a bunch of gym rats.
Meatball packaging.
Yeah, they look like meatheads.
Yeah, they do.
Well, actually, just one of them, but he was like the main one. So
And what was his name again?
Nick Lachey.
Nick Lachey, that's right.
I didn't know if you were baiting me when you asked me that question to see, like, I know she's going to know the exact name right off the top
Well,
of her
that's why I asked you because I knew that you would know.
head. I can't help it.
Because I don't keep up on my 98 degrees factoids,
How dare you? How
right?
very dare you, sir?
I don't know.
That's okay.
So one of the things that I really, really like about the 50s and the whole is like the novelty of it was that they didn't really take themselves super seriously.
Not at all. You didn't have like the Kurt Cobains going like this is too commercial and bullshit, or like Fiona Apple at the Grammys or
Yeah.
wherever the hell she was, like flipping everybody off.
Or even like, 60s, 70s, 80s, where everyone's like, man, we're making some really important music, man. Like this
Are
stuff
we?
is blowing our minds and we're
Are
going
we
to
Buffalo Springfield? Are
yeah,
we?
going to a higher plane of existence. And it's like these people are just trying to make music they really enjoyed and
Make a little money at it if they
yeah.
could, and
Um
because everything was so new and so exciting. Like it was really
yeah.
like the sunrise of all of this stuff, which is so cool. Like
Mhm.
I love that. That's so neat.
Yeah, and it gave people a little bit of a because a lot of sad so especially the I guess that country music of everyone being super super sad all the time. But
Right?
yeah, but then that kind of went away relatively quick of people, just singing about heartbreak and stuff all the time. That kind of, I mean, kind of fell to the wayside more as the decade went on, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, people were just trying to have fun, not, you know, because that was what the whole blues was, a lot of it was really really sad material, and then this rock and roll thing gave it a little pickup that it needed and moved it to more fun instead of just crying all the time.
Exactly. Well, and we wouldn't have had rock and roll without any of the blues. So,
Right, which is really
oh man, and then you got people like Ray Charles helping to bring that blues music like into like the public eye. I love that.
yeah,
Thanks,
and
Ray.
solidifying the
Bats Domino. Sorry.
yeah, and solidifying the whole, hey, I'm really really good at playing piano and I'm just going to sing and that's it. Like I don't
Pretty
need anything
much.
else. Like I just need, you know, my piano and my awesome lyrics that everyone
My
still loves.
great voice.
Yeah. Which is
My
pretty cool cuz like you go from, what huge songs do we still know from the 40s? Yeah, exactly. But then there's a whole slew of them from the
from the
50s
50s.
that, people still play, like unironically. Like this just everyone knows,
Well,
hey,
like
blue suede shoes
and
and
the way that they released music was different, you'd have a specific artist that you were seeing more on TV and everything. That's the other thing is TV changed the way that we saw music
sure, yeah, that too.
completely. You
Went away
had a
from a faceless.
yeah, you had a face with a name now. That's why everybody fell in love with Elvis,
Yeah.
shaking his hips on the Ed Sullivan show.
Exactly.
But that's the whole thing is it's like all of a sudden you have actual specific artists. It's not just songs
hmm
that you hear that you love. It's actual artists, putting out actual pieces of music that you're specifically going to the record store and buying with the intent of supporting that specific artist.
Yeah.
Just it's a totally different way to listen to music.
Yeah, and it is, that's exactly what we have now. I mean, that was the birth of what we now know as music and how fans interact with their preferred artist.
Absolutely.
And especially, more so then than now, um, Elvis Presley would go to a radio station and talk and, hey, here's my new stuff. Let's listen to it together, you know, and they wanted to just give their stuff directly to the audience, which wasn't really what people used to do because they didn't really have that technology. And they're like, hey,
No.
I made this awesome music. Here it is. I want you to listen to it.
What are you going to do? Take like a billion piece orchestra down to the local radio station and
Exactly. Which is really cool. And I like that access to my artists. I
that
like
farm to table music.
exactly, which is, I think, the way that music should be because it should
Absolutely.
be, and I'm sure that's how people wanted their music to be before, but they just never had the technology to do it.
No,
Because really, at the end of the day, you're just trying to spread your music that you love and you want other people to enjoy.
absolutely. And I think too, just like having, a totally different, like we said earlier, the teenager was a thing now.
hmm
Having a totally different audience that has like different wants and needs. Like they want to hear a song about like going to a soda shop and like dancing all night. You know what I mean? Like it's totally
Exactly.
different. I love that. I think the teenager changed the way that we create and listen to music.
Yeah. And because of that, people that grew up and started playing, you can listen to the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, you know, all of these early bands that were doing their stuff got their inspiration from listening to this American music that, like I said, it originated in America. This is where all this came from, and then it slowly started to trickle through to Europe and other places that then took their style, and then as we all know, the invasion of the English artists kind of took over in the '60s for sure, but the '50s, that's America. That was all
True
us.
fact. Oh, for sure, it was all us.
Yeah, which is cool that we owned a decade at least before the Brits.
Well, and owned like a huge part of like musical history.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
it was the birthplace of all the music that we listen to now, mostly.
Sort of,
hmm
except for that whole jazz influence thing.
Right, which even still was created here.
That's from us for sure. That's from well, not us, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, in Americans.
mhm.
I guess is
Pretty
what we
cool stuff, man.
yeah, I think that more people should listen to the origins of all this kind of stuff. Not just, oh, I listen to Elvis Presley, I know who that is. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
duh, everybody knows who Elvis Presley is, but do you
right,
like know who Elvis Presley is?
right. But listen to, Chuck Berry, and listen
Oh my god.
to
Little
Little
Richard
Richard
and
would be really great because you can see this really early what wasn't there before, and they were creating all of this rock music that eventually we took it to a different angle, but the
yeah,
stuff.
you can skip all the evolved crooners business. Like you don't need to listen to like Chances Are or like Pat Boone. Like you're good.
Yeah, Pat Boone's not too bad. Bo
Eh,
Diddley, listen to some Bo Diddley.
there you go. Get you some.
Yeah, and if nothing else, listen to Chuck Berry. Just at that time, just shredding it on the guitar,
Absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely
making
killing it.
well, Chuck Berry and go listen to some Les Paul and hear people doing things with instruments that no one had ever heard anyone do before.
Yeah, like they would just stand there and play just the guitar and have a guitar solo that was 5 seconds long, but still up to that point that wasn't a thing. And they're just like, oh, I'm just gonna shred the guitar real quick.
No
Y'all
big
back up,
deal.
yeah. Which I
Man.
think was really, really awesome that these guys and and with that, I guess you start going into stage presence that was never a thing before.
No, and you have people like Elvis Presley, like Buddy Holly, you
Buddy
know?
Holly, even as awkward as he was,
No, Buddy Holly.
had his stage presence of him going, "Hey, yeah, I'm really good at this instrument, and I'm just gonna take the lead real quick," which
So
I can
cool.
appreciate. I like that.
I love it.
Hmm.
Do you think that Buddy Holly's death was like the first like major like celebrity death, do you think? Like one of them?
Um, well, I guess with music,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about specifically.
yeah, I guess. I mean, if you want to consider like the classical era greats, but I guess worldwide, probably, yeah,
Because I mean 22, like
yeah, really, yeah. And what he did within like 3 years of his life,
yes, that's crazy. He had like a whole career in 3 years.
uh-huh, yeah, changed the game, and then died, and everyone's
Yeah,
like, oh, well, that sucks because he's kind of the guy leading this, kind of.
pretty much.
So then they had to pick up a very, very big um, weight and then carry it. But yeah, one little guy in, I think it was 2 or 3 years, um, showed everyone there's other things possible with this guitar thing, and everyone's like, oh yeah, there really is. Cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
buddy.
I don't know. We appreciate that, friendo.
Uh huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Um.
oh, Buddy Holly.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, did you know that Waylon Jennings played in his band too?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he played bass for Buddy Holly.
That's super cool.
I think the year he died. But yeah,
The year that Buddy Holly died.
Buddy Holly died, yeah.
Right.
No, not the year Waylon Jennings died. Buddy Holly was long
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
We could talk about, I guess, Memphis becoming a thing
True fact.
with all the, I guess, really just again with Elvis just kind of taking the reins, um, and bringing a lot of attention and focus to one little place. It was kind of the ground zero of all that stuff, really.
Well, yeah.
And I think it's pretty cool that not only was it like the middle of all this music going on, but it was like literally the middle of the country where you get the southern R&B blues influence, and then you get this northern kind of rock influence, and then you coming in from the west, you get the country music, and then it really is kind of the
Kind of a
epicenter.
crossroads.
Yeah, exactly. It really was like geographically as well as the epicenter of these things, and I think that probably played a role in why there was this mixing that was so easy to do because within this, triangle of sounds, you get all types of different music that you've been able to hear on the radio.
Absolutely.
Because the radio could only go so far, especially back in that day. So you kind of have this epicenter of the three different types of music that's kind of blending together, and I think a lot of it was geography based, just
Well, the
because
kind of music that you grew up with, where you're from.
yeah, exactly. And then when you have these areas that kind of blend together, you have some really cool stuff going on.
God, and without that, we wouldn't have had like Otis Redding and Sam and Dave. Like those are, I love that.
Yeah, right.
Again, imagine a world without Otis Redding.
Been pretty crazy.
That would be horrible.
Yeah,
That's not a world I want to live in.
right. Or a world without Johnny Cash, I'm out.
Oh, bye.
Right.
Bye. Oh
And
man.
the weird part about a lot of these guys were still around not too long ago.
Yeah,
Like these guys saw the evolution of what they started and kind of the fruition of what could have happened. I think that's was probably really cool to watch them see this evolution of what they were doing in the early 50s, and then what was able to happen from that. I think that was probably a pretty crazy thing to see.
well, and the really cool growth and transformation that it took from the 50s into the 60s is
Absolutely.
that in itself is fascinating.
Yeah, and just that evolution of especially what guitars were able to do from.
Yeah, and that to me is just a great example of like a lot of really talented people being obsessed with the same thing and so just developing it really well.
Yeah, and just kind of pushing the boundaries of what was possible with all this stuff.
Yeah, what can be done.
hmm
Oh god, we're so lucky. Like we're so lucky all these wonderfully talented people were like, "Hey, I wonder what would happen if I did this."
Yeah, right. Or people behind the scenes doing all this recording stuff. Like, what would happen if we did this
What
instead
if I
of
tried this?
right? Yeah, which
That's
is
it.
yeah. It said stuff really, really progressed really quickly. Even just listening to Elvis Presley himself, the stuff he was playing in the mid 50s to what he was, or early and mid 50s to what he was playing in the late 50s,
Totally different.
very different, very, very
Totally
different.
different
Because you can hear that what would eventually become that 60s. Uh,
sound.
yeah, I mean, this is all within 5, 6 years.
That's
It's really,
crazy.
really incredible. I mean, stuff like that doesn't happen now. Of music as a whole changing within 5 or 6 years, which is um, which is pretty incredible. I bet that was just a really interesting time to see this evolve.
Dude, Elvis Presley had like 4 different careers in one career.
Yeah,
That's
that's kind of what I was
crazy to
saying.
me.
How these people didn't have like they weren't like a rock band or they
You didn't
weren't.
have to stick to one thing. You could have
hmm
commercial success in multiple genres at the same time. And I don't mean like Taylor Swift because that's not real. I mean like
Yeah, I
I just
guess
that
that's actually a really good example of one that. Hey, good job.
thanks.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, but it's not, and that's the thing though, is it didn't feel like success just because it's like, oh well, they used to be a country artist, so we're just gonna still love her. No, it's like this person is making music that's popular across like multiple levels, so we're gonna play it
Yeah, because it's all really good and
because
new and
it's
exciting.
super good. Yeah, and
Yeah.
because that's just the time. I love that.
hmm
So cool.
Right.
So cool.
Yeah.
Oh, Elvis. And then he started making some really shit stuff later on.
Well, then the '70s got a hold of him.
Ooh, that jumpsuit era. My goodness, the Viva Las Vegas era.
Yeah, it was
Yikes.
yikes is very true.
I think my favorite like Elvis pictures are the ones that he has for Jailhouse Rock. I don't know why. I just love that. He's so cute in his little stripy shirt.
Oh yeah, all the I guess the inmates dancing around their
Hmm.
jail cells. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it just
Love it.
how I guess maybe now to us that's really goofy, but I like that goofiness where
It
they were
was
just trying
cute.
to yeah they were just trying to have fun and it
Yeah.
shows and they like I said they weren't trying to be like
Well, and they're appealing to a specific audience, who will appreciate that.
which is the birth of pop music, you know that
Exactly.
that kind of trying to appeal to the young audience and kind of that happy-go-lucky poppy kind of sound that eventually gets carried on. But yeah, I enjoy that. It makes it seem I guess I might be biased, but it makes it seem really really wholesome, and I enjoy that
I do too.
because everyone
It was
wasn't
just such a
trying to take everything so seriously.
yeah.
Just
It
trying to have
was
fun with it.
more it was more fun and fun for just like fun's sake, fun for the sake of trying something totally different and seeing if
Hmm.
it worked, not fun for the sake of I'm this artist poor new artist has to twerk in all of her new music videos in order to make any money.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's
You
yeah, it's
know?
just it was just a different time where people were just doing stuff to see why not, you know?
Yeah. Hey, I heard this song. I'm gonna do a cover of it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Done.
But I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit and make it
I'm gonna
mine,
make it a little bit more R&B than country.
or I'm gonna make it more rock and roll than whatever.
Exactly. Oh man. Ah,
But we can also talk about how this was the death of people listening to like a lot of stringed instruments or wind
yeah,
instruments or like accordions and all kinds of crazy instruments that people don't really listen to anymore.
that's true.
It was definitely the changing of the guard, I think, with what music is.
This is true.
But it's pretty cool that stuff started kind of come back around a little bit, where people kind of re found out about how you can make a lot of cool noises with orchestral songs now or um, instruments,
That's really true.
which is nice because you can add them together and make some really cool stuff.
It's true. What's cool too is like this time, while a lot of these other huge names were out doing their thing, you have people like Roy Orbison who's like working his way up
Hmm.
and like kind of trying to make his way and like learning all this stuff, like working at Sun Records and all that kind of cool stuff. And I don't know, writing a lot and
Yeah, and there, yeah, we can talk about the evolution of these guys behind the scenes
yeah,
and just the
that's so
rapidly
cool.
changing technology that was happening at this time that allowed us to have really really good production and things to happen in the 60s that would not never have been able to have been possible in the 40s,
Exactly.
and these guys that spent a lot of time in the studio and really learned the ins and out of everything and were able to develop these cool new techniques and tricks and stuff that we all enjoy now. But
So cool.
um that's about all I really wanted to talk about with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, Calypso,
The
Birth of
50s are
Ska, don't forget.
Calypso Bertha Scott,
Hmm.
you dummy.
Okay.
Oh man. But yeah, just kind of a cool time to have birthed a huge massive movement that we're still feeling like the reverb from today.
That we can owe 90% of the music that we listen to on a day-to-day basis to this
To
10-year
this
period.
specific era. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. I
But yeah,
love it.
a multitude of genres were born in this 10-year period, which is
Man, what are we
can't
doing?
really say that about other decades.
And what did we give the world? Skrillex.
Hey,
You're welcome, guys.
there's nothing wrong with Skrillex.
Anyway, so should we move on to our reviews of the homework that we assigned each other last time?
I think that's a great idea.
Well, okay. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Or do we rock,
I
paper, scissors this?
I'll go
Rock, paper,
first.
scissors?
No, I'll go
Huh?
first. I'll go
Okay.
first.
Okay.
So my homework was to listen to Little Hell from the band City and Color. Um, First things first, I liked it. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be.
I kind of figured that you wouldn't be too surprised. So,
Yeah, it. I was like, okay, this is what's going to happen, and it did, and I was okay with it. two really, really good songs that I really, really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Fragile Bird, which I guess everyone knows that song.
Some, yeah.
And then the second really, really good song was Weightless.
Did
I
you like Weightless?
I did. I really enjoyed that song.
Yes. Okay, can I just say that my two favorite songs on that album totally matched up with your two favorite songs on the album?
Hey yo,
That's pretty cool.
I guess we got good taste, huh? Or bad
Pretty good
taste, I
taste.
guess.
Whatever.
But what I liked especially about Weightless was that he really let his what he wanted to happen breathe. Like he gave it some room to explore. Because a lot of times music of this type, this what do we call this kind of music?
Genre.
Yeah, what do we call it?
Like alternative folk. I don't really know
Is
what you
this
would call
that
this
indie
music.
folk revival?
Kind of,
Does this
I
fit into that?
guess.
More
Maybe.
folky than anything else.
A
Anyway,
little.
what I like about this album, more so in this song, but without the album too, that a lot of these type of bands don't let the song breathe. It hits
No.
3.5 minutes and the song's over.
Yeah.
And I don't think there were any songs that were under three or around that time. Most of them were over 4 minutes. So I kind of gave the song a little bit more time to breathe, especially Weightless, almost coming in at 5 minutes. You know
Worth it.
me, I like long songs. I like them to really, go through the motif and
Did
play
you
with stuff.
listen to the demo version of Weightless?
I did.
What'd you think?
I like the studio version better.
I kind of do too, but I really like that demo version too.
It's good, yeah, but I with this kind of music, I like having a little bit more production on it. Because if not, it just sounds, I don't know, like a garage band. I don't know. I like having a little bit more polish on my music. Surprise, surprise. Um, but overall, a good mix of different types of songs, which I also enjoyed. It wasn't just the same type of song over and over again.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like about Dallas Green is he's really good about like making it a little eclectic. Like a whole album won't sound exactly the same.
Hmm. Oh, and I also found out that this is a one-man band.
Yeah, I told you that.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
It's just
one
Dallas
guy
Green.
making all this music, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate someone who can do that. Whether or not I actually enjoy their music, I can unbelievably appreciate someone who can play all these different types of instruments and produce it together and mix it all together. I think that's incredible. So
He's pretty great.
yeah, so crazy props to him for that. I would recommend the album. It's a good album.
It's a great album.
Especially a couple three songs are really worth listening to several times. Yeah, it's another good pick. Congratulations.
Yes. See, sometimes I have really good suggestions.
You do. That's true.
I try.
Fair enough.
So,
Oh,
all
well,
right.
lady, your turn.
Well, I was assigned a band called World's End Girlfriend, and I was assigned the album Last Waltz.
Oh yeah.
So the saga started when I could not find the album again.
Yep.
Couldn't find the Tool album. Couldn't find this album. Started to get really annoyed with sending Parker text messages. I was like,
Well,
okay,
where couldn't you find these bands?
anywhere,
Anywhere.
Spotify, iTunes. And then I couldn't find like that was the thing is I was like, well, I'll try YouTube. And I couldn't find the whole thing on YouTube. I could find like 2 songs and that was it.
Mhm. Yep.
And so Parker was like, hey, go check out Bandcamp because they'll have it. And yeah, BT Dubs, if you're into like new music, which I assume you are if you listen to this podcast, go check out bandcamp.com. It's pretty cool. They've
Or
got
any kind of music. Bandcamp
yeah.
is just the best.
Yeah, it's just got lots of music on there. It's pretty cool.
And not only that,
Oh,
but because it's so awesome, a lot of these bands, they have their Bandcamp and they'll just have their album out. You can listen to it, a lot of them for free. And then if you want, there's just a little button, and most of these albums are $10, and it just goes right to the band.
which is
Like it
awesome.
doesn't go to any other you don't
Doesn't
have to
go through
pay yeah, you
iTunes,
don't have to
you
pay
know.
anybody a percentage of that money. It goes right to the band, and
Mhm.
I really like that. It's because especially a lot of these smaller people that don't aren't really big that I really enjoy. It's nice being able to throw money at these little guys.
Yeah, they need it too.
Yeah,
So they
absolutely.
can
Yeah, especially now it's so hard to get your foot in the door.
oh, absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Well, if you're
Anyway,
not anyway.
continue.
Anyway, so so when I did finally find it on Bandcamp, I noticed unfortunately the entire album was not available. So I can only go off of the 6 songs or 5 songs
Could you
that
find
were
the
on there.
ones that aren't on there on YouTube?
Nope.
Ah.
So I did what I could.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not totally comprehensive, so my bad. But it starts off with well, okay, just overall, it's not bad at all. Like it's actually pretty. I like
What
kind
kind of
of
music is this for the people in the
um
back?
ambient music. It's like
Okay.
I don't know. When I was listening to it, I was like, this kind of sounds like something that would be in the background of a video game. And
Yeah.
I had to try really hard to not think about it like that
Hmm.
because if I think about it like that, I'm gonna hate it. So but yeah, it was interesting though. It's very like it's all like instrumentals. There's not really lyrics. Um it's very ambient, I guess kind of progressive maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
That's what all of
Experimental.
your music, yeah, all of your music is progressive, so that's always a safe adjective to throw out there.
Close enough.
Um so but starts off with a song called Plain Soleil, which is not bad at all. I actually really enjoyed that very first song on the album. Um very chill, good stuff. And then it went into the names of these songs are ridiculous, by the way. You said they're from Japan?
Yes, this is a Japanese
Yeah,
band. Yep.
yeah. The titles of the songs make a lot more sense when you know that they're from Japan.
And it's
Um,
really only one person doing it too.
of course it is. So, first song not bad at all. I liked it. In fact, I listened to it a couple of times. Then it goes into a song called Angel Ache. I really like the strings at the beginning of that song. I thought they were really pretty.
Right.
But then it kind of went a little off the rails, like as it continues.
Yeah, yeah. Stuff gets pretty
So
crazy.
yeah. Then there was Flowers of Romance, which I guess is like one of the more popular songs off of this album, if you could call it that, because that was the easiest one to find everywhere.
Hmm.
I really like the tones at the beginning, but I really hate when there is music playing and it has like a random word or words repeated over and over
Right.
because to me that's too like performance arty and I don't like it.
Too experimental.
Not even. It just feels like I'm at like an underground gallery in some city and like some guys like
Dancing naked on the
dancing.
stage. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like and I just it's too much. It's too
But he's got
performance
tape
arty.
over his mouth because he's censored or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
All right.
So, yeah, that was Flowers of Romance. That was yeah, I couldn't. I was like, okay, I got it.
Hmm.
Then it went to into Crystal Chrysalis. Again, this is I can't make this shit up, folks.
I was wondering, what do you think
Didn't
about the song names?
I didn't like Crystal Chrysalis. I thought that it was whatever. I literally just wrote pass. Like
Okay.
didn't
Fair
listen
enough.
to it again. And then I actually liked the last song that I could hear at least on the album, which was "Girl." I didn't mind that at all. I thought it was pretty. Thought it was interesting. Overall, good, good, well put together album. I'll probably go back and listen to some of the songs off of it. I wouldn't listen to the entire thing again.
Yeah.
And it could have just been like the way I was listening to it. Are there transitions on this album?
Uh, yes.
Okay, then it must have been the way that I was listening to it because I couldn't hear anything. And that I was like, this seems weird for this kind of an artist to not do that, but
But not between
obviously.
all the songs, but there are definitely transitions.
Are
So
there some transitions?
yeah. Hmm.
Oh, my
So what
bad.
was your favorite song from this album?
I liked Plain Soleil and I liked Girl.
Yeah, I think Plain Soleil is easily the best song.
The best song off that album.
I listen to
So
that
sure.
song just by itself. It's a really good song. I mean, the vocals in that song, come on. So good.
So good. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But yeah, a lot of long songs too.
Yeah, I
Or they felt
guess.
maybe they really weren't even that long. They just felt long.
Yeah, really not that
But
long.
I will
Well,
say I
if
had to make sure. I'm sorry.
I mean, if you're
Continue.
used to 4 minute long songs, then yeah, it's going to be a long song.
Which I'm not. They just felt long.
All right, fair enough.
So, but yeah, not really like what I would normally go to. I do like instrumentals, but not immediately what I would have gone for. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad at all.
Good. I'm glad you didn't hate it. That's all I'm asking for.
I'm sorry. It was good. It wasn't I didn't dislike it.
Good.
So,
Good to hear.
yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely kind of one of the more out ones that I was going to give you. Just kind of wanted to see what you thought about that kind of stuff.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, because I'm not intentionally giving you bad albums, and it's a really really good album. It's probably the best from that band, I would imagine.
Really? I kind
Yeah,
of that's I read some reviews and that seemed to be the general
yeah, it's kind of the
consensus.
culmination of kind of where they were building up to, and they do it really really well in this album, um, which I like. I like that you can kind of see where they're going, and then they finally do it in an album, and you're like, thank God, finally, which is kind of what this album is.
True. Very true.
Well, hey, that's not too bad then.
No, not bad at all. Well done us.
Well done.
Good job, team.
Okay, so
Okay.
we're getting to the new homework point.
No, not yet. We got to
Or
do
not?
skip or play first.
Oh, we're doing skip or play
Guys,
first.
Parker doesn't know how the show goes.
Sorry.
No, we're going to do skip or play.
Okay,
You don't have a skip or play, do you?
I do have a. I didn't know. Do you want me to go first? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I don't know. Yeah, go
Okay,
first.
then I'll go first then.
Go first then.
So my pick is a play, and
Mhm.
it's a song that I sent you earlier today. Actually, it's by the band called Velvet Tears. One
Oh
word,
God, you guys. I
or
can't make this up.
that's how I pronounce it, Velvet Tears. But it looks like Velvet Ears, but it's one word. And the song name is "Will I Ever Care?" And we were talking about this earlier. This is probably the biggest offender of a song not being long enough, and it's so good, but it's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds long, and it needs to be 10 minutes. Like if
It
I'm being
really is a
honest,
really, really good song because he sent me this and I was like, and then I actually listened to it. It was really good.
yeah, I highly recommend. It's nice, chill music, really good vocals coming through, some really really good harmony, and just a good slow build up with a little like electronic background. Really good, but like I said, it needs to be 10 minutes long because there's so much more to play with in this song. So that is my play.
Good job.
Hmm.
Uh, sorry. My play is going to be a song that I haven't been able to stop listening to all day long today for some reason.
And
I
what
was
song
texting
is that?
me alone. So I was texting Parker earlier because I was listening to all this different stuff. And sometimes, I don't know if you guys ever get this, but sometimes I get song ADHD and it's a problem. And I can't listen to just one artist or one thing. I start skipping around and listen to all this random stuff. And somehow Africa by Toto came on. And I have not been able to stop listening to it. And I think it's kind of underestimated. Do you guys realize that that's kind of one of the greatest songs ever written?
It's so
Like,
good.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Why is it so good? Like,
And it's not because like the lyrics are really good or the
no,
musicianship
the
is really
lyrics are
good.
stupid. In fact, that song is one of the worst offenders of one of the things that I hate that people do, where they try to put like a lot of too many syllables in a line that doesn't have enough room for that.
Yeah, really stretching out that
That's
yeah,
Serengeti. Whew, I
Serengeti.
hate that.
I think that's the only time I've ever heard the word Serengeti in a song. Thinking about it now. Have you heard another song with Serengeti in it?
Probably off a Lion King soundtrack.
And how awkward that that rhymes with.
Which
which
is
is
ridiculous. But
yeah,
like doesn't make any sense. Like it's a ridiculous song, but it's just got that great like rushing crescendo like
and that
at the
hook
beginning of the
it
that
gets you.
hook gets you every
Yeah,
single time. And then when we talked about how Master of None, a Netflix series, does the best job of using that song
yeah, that's pretty good.
ever,
Yeah.
second only to when they use it on Scrubs. And Zach
Oh,
Braff is
I
singing it
totally
in the
forgot
bathtub.
about that one. Good
Uh-huh.
call. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
telling you.
Nice.
But yeah, oh, so good. But yeah, them guys, secrets out. I have terrible taste in music. I don't know why they're letting me do this show.
But it's so good. It's like it's
It really
past
is
the point
good.
of a novelty song, you know?
No, it's just a good song.
Just
Like it's a terrible band had a really great song
really, really good song. That's one of the best hooks you could probably that's
ever.
probably ever happened. Yeah.
Oh
And
God, it's
like I said,
up there.
I'm thinking the song is about him having it really, really bad for a African American girl,
You
I
could say
think
a black girl.
is
That's not bad.
what it's
I think you might be
what's
right.
going on. Because
I
that
think you might be right.
yeah, there's
Who knows?
some
Who
innuendos in
knows
there.
with
I think
Toto?
that when you say it's raining down and I don't think he's talking about actual rain.
Oh no, I never thought about that.
Yeah, I think there's some
All
under
right.
the
All
table
right.
innuendos.
Hey.
Anyway, yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a good song.
So stupid.
And that song is perfect in length. I don't think it needs to be shorter or
It
longer.
really is because it's not too short, it's not too long. It's like,
You still get three courses, I
yep.
think, or four
Yeah.
maybe.
I think it's 3.
You get to hear him wail out uh, the rain down in Africa,
Gonna
which
take my life
yeah.
to yeah.
And also, y'all need to see the music video because I think it also confirms my suspicions about the song.
Oh, I didn't think about there being a music video.
And there is a music video, and that I think I'm correct in my um,
In your
assumptions.
assumptions.
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm. Didn't you? Aren't you the one who told me that there's a Led Zeppelin song about him having it like really bad for like his cousin or something?
Oh
I think
yeah,
that was you. I think
uh,
that was you that told me that.
yeah. Oh, what is and what should never be.
Never be. That's what it is. Oh God.
Pretty sure.
It's so much worse when you say the name of the song.
I think I've heard some rumors that that's what it is, but I'm not quite sure. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but anyway, it's definitely interesting lyrics. If you, yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, yeah. But man, speaking of Led Zeppelin, was real dirty in their lyrics. Oh my goodness. Whew.
Right?
Just yeah, bunch of dirty old men.
Whew.
Yeah.
Seriously though.
Well, I guess at the time they were dirty 20-year-olds.
Dirty young men. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
so
dirty 22-year-olds.
yeah, what do you expect?
Oh man. All right. Well, I guess we can move on to our new homework assignments. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Uh,
So
you go first. Tell me what you want me to listen to.
I am just gonna assign you a song.
Okay.
Just because I don't know if you've ever heard the song, and so I feel like I need to assign it because it's a song that I really like that I feel like is a integral part of me.
Oh.
Sort of. I don't know. Who fucking knows? So, but
Mm-hmm.
it's the song Kate by Ben Folds 5.
Kate.
Kate.
Kate Ben Folds 5. Okay.
That's so you only have to listen to a song,
Okay.
but I want you to listen to that and then come back with some thoughts, and we'll wrap it out and see what we think.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. What you got for me? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Hey, that's okay.
It's a Pat Benatar song.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so I want you to listen. I don't know if you've heard. I don't really know. So the band.
I swear to God, guys, we're friends in real life. Like,
Yeah. So the band Mute Math, which I'm not
uh-huh.
a huge fan of, but they have one song that's really, really good, and it's called "Reset"
Okay.
by Mute Math.
Mute Math.
Mm-hmm.
Reset. Mute Math is all one word.
Mute Math is one word. Yes.
All right. Good to know. Just for those of you playing along out there.
Yes. But yeah, Mute Math is a interesting band, and apparently they write a lot of their music by emailing each other snippets of what they're working on, and they kind of just put it together when they get together in a studio.
Like Postal Service?
Sure.
That's how they got their name.
Oh, then
They
yes.
used to send each other the music that they were working on in the mail,
Hmm.
and then they would, yeah.
And they also play guitars, which I think is super awesome.
Oh no, why do you do this? Why don't you just say like, "Hey Lane, here's the thing, listen to this." But instead what you do is you go, "Oh, and here's 5 terrible facts about it that are going to make you hate it before you even listen to it."
Because I'm trying to destroy your uh,
Uh,
preconceived notion
oh
of what a band
God.
should be. How about that?
I
Is that progressive enough for you?
hate it.
Yeah, really good song though. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of a lot of their stuff, but this song is really, really good. And I
Yeah?
wish they would sound more like this, and I would really like them a lot more.
Oh, I wish you would sound more like this.
Wow.
Oh man. All right. Well, I'll give it a shot. No promises. We'll see how that goes.
Hmm.
Hmm. So,
Uh,
but
yeah. Is that
I think that's pretty much it.
what I want to talk about?
Guys, I think that this is how we end the show.
Oh no! Oh, I gotta tell people
Oh,
if there's anyone that's out there listening that is into metal music, which there might be a couple.
oh, that's right.
The new Mastodon album that I listened to, the new one that came out, is
Hmm.
not very good.
Yeah, he was really jonesing to tell you guys that
Yeah, which
the new Mastodon album is not good.
I was a little upset about because Mastodon's been slowly slipping away from what it should be.
From greatness.
Yeah, because
I do actually like Mastodon. You've had me listen to some Mastodon, and I do actually enjoy it.
for the longest time they were a pretty good solid go-to band for rock and metal music. I guess I should tell you the new album name is Emperor of Sand.
Hmm.
If you didn't like, if you didn't like their last album, Once More
Uh-huh.
Around the Sun, then you're probably not gonna like this album because it's all the worst aspects of that, and it's the entire album.
I'm looking at the album art now, and no, thank you.
Oh yeah, the skull guy and the
That's
ring.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's exactly what you when you think of like what like a metal album cover would look like. It's what it looks like.
their other album covers are really good, especially Leviathan because it's a whole
Mhm.
album dedicated to Moby Dick.
Oh
So
my god!
all the songs are like Iron Tusk, I Am Ahab, Sea Beast, like that. Really, it's
All
really
right,
nice. Yeah. Anyway, the new
I get
album's
it.
really not that good, but you should check it out anyway.
So
But
sorry to hear that.
yeah, I barely made it through the album. I was getting really close to just not listening to all of it, which is
Hmm.
kind of crappy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I might have a new band that I broke up with.
You guys,
All I'm saying, right?
it's gonna be a sad day.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got for music news or anything else I wanted to talk about. What about you?
All right. No, I don't have anything else. I've been making my kids in my class listen to a lot of music that they don't realize they're listening to. So that's been kind of cool. I'm subliminally like trying to expand their musical knowledge.
And what are you making them listen to?
Scale the Summit.
Whoa, what kind of band is that?
Whoa. Shut up. I don't know, Parker. What kind of a band is it?
It's a really good um uh I don't know, metal band, I guess.
Okay. But yeah, I've been having them do a lot of like instrumental stuff and just kind of seeing what they like, what they don't like. We've been listening to a little Balmoria, a little um Scale Summit, some Mogwai, just kind of whatever I can throw at them and just to see kind of how they think of it. Um
Some
they've
post
listened
rock
to
songs is what it sounds like.
yeah, they've listened to a little bit of Led Zeppelin,
Uh-oh.
which has been fun. They actually really enjoyed that.
Does Led Zeppelin come up basically several times every show that we have?
Yes.
Okay.
Why wouldn't it?
I don't know. I figure people are gonna get tired of it eventually. Well,
Well,
too
they
bad because we're gonna keep
too
talking about.
fucking bad.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what the show is. So, all
Mhm.
right. Well, cool, cool. I guess we can end. Do you have
Yeah,
anything else you want to throw out there?
that's
Any
all mine.
other disappointing metal albums that you've listened to lately?
Nope, that's all I got.
Well, okay. Well, Mr. Parker, where can we find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at the epicallygeeky.com.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Tell
we
them where
need.
else they can find you now.
Oh, I'm on Instagram. I got an Instagram, and
Yep.
I forgot what my name was on it. Whoops.
It's Make the Beer. He
Make. Oh
hasn't
yeah, that's
posted.
right.
I'm glad I know. All one word, Make the Beer.
Hmm.
He hasn't posted anything yet, but the good news is that now that he has one, I can tag him. So get ready for that, guys.
And did you want to tell them about the Spotify?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Roger that.
So you can find me, myself, and I on the internet at the epicallygeeky.com website. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at It's a Lanybird. And as Parker was alluding to, we are in the process. Hopefully, by the time this show goes out, you guys will be able to find us on Spotify. We
Hey,
realized that we throw all this music out there at you, and how nice would it be if it was all in one nice little spot?
nice little
So,
reference. A
yeah,
Spotify.
Spotify. Perfect for a spot of reference. I love it. Perfect. It's going to be under Epic Rhythm and Brews, all one word. And we'll put some playlists on there. If there's something you guys want to see, we can do that. We thought maybe like one for picks and or not picks and pans for plays and skips, one for maybe some of the different shows that we've done. We'll make you guys a playlist of the covers that we talked about. On one of our other shows, bands that we've broken up with. We can do a playlist for that. So, but yeah, just a way to bring the music to the people.
I think.
So,
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it'll be nice for people to just have a good reference.
absolutely. So you can
What we
follow
talk about.
us. Yeah, so you can follow us on Spotify. Um and yeah, pretty cool stuff, man.
I can't wait.
I know. I'm actually really excited for that. So let us know what you guys think. Please, 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 please leave us a rating and review on iTunes.
Yes.
Let us know if there's anything we forgot to talk about in the 50s in our little rambling conversation.
Yeah. Right.
Give us a rating. Tell us if there's anything you want to hear. Are there some bands that you're listening to that you want us to cover? We're super down for that. We always love to learn about new music that's out there.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty much it. So give us a
Yeah.
shout and check us out.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Ooh, wow.
And we're out. You asshole.